it's so, so touching because I know how she feels, or the person I'm about to introduce to you feels about what they've gone through. So the story is of someone that I know, a very close friend, and she went through so much. And in the time that she was going through, she said she had a lot of issues with her mum. So she had a lot of issues with her mum, and it basically begins when she was younger. So her mum, she was actually born in Congo. Her mum flew over here to the UK, came here to work, and obviously in the time that you're working, you're trying to get yourself together. You want to bring your children down. So her grandma raised her with her sisters, and in that time, she's obviously grown up with her grandma. She's been taken care of by her grandmother. So fast forward the story now. Her mum and her dad, basically her dad passed away, and so she's actually, her mum's a single mum, and her mum's hustling. She's had a tough time. Her mum's had a tough time already because her dad passed away from a young age, and her mum's had a lot of battles, and obviously her mum as well was a troubled child. So now her mum's working hard. Her grandma takes care of her back home in Congo, and so her mum flies over to England. She worked hard, and thank God, they now get brought over to England. So they're now staying with family, and they're living in this small house, 2-bedroom house. And I believe the family, they live with their auntie, their uncle, and another aunt, and a few other cousins in one house, 2-bedroom flat, sorry. And they're literally struggling to make it through. And obviously, because they've come from all the way there, their cousins are born in this country, they go through a lot of trouble with their cousins because they feel different, they don't know the language. Sometimes people are talking rubbish about them. So continuing from there, she now grows up, and her mum now marries a pastor. Her mum's now married to a pastor back home. And so basically her mum's married to a pastor, they're growing up, they're all right. She just doesn't have a father figure, and she's kind of a bit vivid. She's a bit confused, and obviously she kind of feels left out because, one, you don't have a father figure. Two, your mom's brought you to the country. Yes, that's great, but she's also struggling to have a relationship with her mum. And the person who's actually taking care of her, aside from her grandma, because now she's left her grandma, is her sister. So she has an older sister and a younger sister, and her older sister's now taking care of her. So she's growing up now, and what's happened is that her mum flies back and forth, and in the time that her mum was actually away, her sister has now cancer, and she's dying on the inside, and she's been struggling with her studies, with education. Obviously, she's of an older age. Studies have been going left and right because she's struggling with cancer, struggling with all these different things. And on top of that, her sister's taking care of her and her younger sister. So her mum's all the way back in Congo, I'd say, basically back home in Africa. And she's obviously enjoying life. She's living it up. She's gone to see her husband. Her husband's a minister, so she's trying her best over there. She comes back after 6 months and to see that the daughter's not well. Obviously now there's a lot of problems in the house because now the girl my friend who's been taken care of, doesn't feel like her mum's doing anything for her. Feels that her mum is just thinking about herself because she's gone away for 6 months and left her children in the house by themselves. And there are a lot of parents out there nowadays who do things like that, and they just leave their children and have to do things back home. Obviously, there's different reasons behind each one. Doesn't mean that they're a bad parent. Anyway, continue from where I'm going on. So her mum comes back now. Her sister's sick, and she's now in a critical state. She can't move. She can't do anything. It got to a point where the mum was at work, they were at home, and the house literally got burnt on fire. The whole entire house, the flat, the kitchen was burning. Her sister's in a critical state. She can't even move. Now, her and her best friend had to take her sister out of the house, out of the flat, before the fire caught anymore. And on top of that, luckily, her younger sister wasn't in the house. Her mum was at work. So the mum gets home from work. They literally had to rush their sister to hospital just to check on her and to check if she's okay. time continues now, and it's like she now sees that she knows her sister's about to die. And she's scared. She feels alone because she doesn't feel like she has the necessary support. Her mum's in and out of the country. Her mum's majority of the time at work. She has to look after her older sister now, so she's now the mother of the house. So she's now stepping into another level of becoming a woman without the assistance of her mother. Bearing in mind, yes, her mum must have been in the country, but even her mum being in the country, I've also been told that her mum wasn't there for her. Her mum didn't give her the advice that she has today of being brought up as a woman. She literally had to learn the hard way. On top of that, she's been in so many different relationships. So relationship with this guy, that guy, and she's had to learn about men through that. Unfortunately to say it, her sister also passes away. And she's also been told on many occasions that if she doesn't take her life seriously, that her sister will have to go. I know I'm a bit jimbly-jambly about this, but I'm getting to my point. So now her sister unfortunately passes away, and she's devastated. She's now left home. Where the issue comes is that now it's her and her mum. Her older sister's not there to defend her. Her older sister's not there to be her mum. Her older sister is unfortunately gone. She's passed away. Now she has to confront a lot of things with her mum, and because her and her mum already have two strong characters living in one house, she's also seeing the examples of her mother, and she feels like my mum's not the best example. Why? Because now she has a man back home she's married to who is a pastor, but also now she's left that lifestyle behind, and she's come here and she's almost like lived a life now with a new man. And she's now so self-focused on her new man, not even husband, but man. And she doesn't care about where her daughter's kind of going. And because her daughter's reached a stage where she needs to prepare for marriage, prepare for her lifestyle, she's telling her mom, look, mom, I cannot be the mother to my younger sister. I can't be the mother to all these other people in the house. I need to actually sort myself out, sort my finances out. I've helped you, yes, and I'll still help you, but you need to understand me. In the conversation of the time that they're having this conversation, there's been a lot of fights because her mum's expecting her to do the things that her sister used to do. And as it continues, she's realizing that the more she wants to come to her mum, ask for advice, seek motherly counsel, her mum's pushing her away and just caring about herself, caring about her boyfriend of new, caring about whether she wants to have a new baby with this man, caring about whether or not she should take the next step with this man of marriage, and etc. And obviously she's looking at her mum and she's thinking, Mum, I'm right here. Every time I come to you about myself, you're talking to me about your life, and I want to know about me. I want you to help me. So she continuously says this, and now they're fighting and they're arguing because the mum doesn't want to hear it. She's like, no, you're not even at that stage. It's time for me. You need to listen to me. Understanding that her mum has also gone through a series of, she's lost her first husband. I don't know what happened with her second husband. And now she's with a new man. Her father's also passed away. So they've kind of walked a similar path, but obviously she's much younger. So they're going back and forth. Jess is trying to seek the love that she's getting from it. She's trying to seek that understanding from her mum, but they're also two strong character. I'm saying Jess, I'm Jess, but I'm not her. So she's trying to explain herself, and she's trying to get through to her. And her mum's just not listening. Her mum's not having it. She's gone to her family members and she's been like, look, my mum, please explain to her where I'm coming from. I need help. She's literally going around asking family members, and she's like, I need help in explaining where I'm coming from, explaining what it is, explaining, look, how can I get through to my mum? I need to prepare for my life. I can't keep being a mother to my sibling, my younger sibling. I can't keep doing this. So she goes to explain to them. Their family has actually come, sat down with the mother, and literally been like, okay, look, you can't do this. She's even gone to her pastor and told the pastor, and that caused another fight. Why did that cause another fight? Because her mum didn't feel like the pastor needed to know. Obviously, that's another story because it comes with trust issues and confidence issues between her and her man of God. So she's had many moments in the house where she's crying, she feels lonely, she's by herself, and obviously she's been deceived by other relatives in the family, and she doesn't know where to go. The only person in her family which she feels that she can trust is her uncle. She's in a position now, she has to pay for majority of the things in the house. Because there's no proper father figure, she doesn't know what to do. She comes home to feel disrespected because she sees a new man in the house, and she doesn't feel respected because it's like, you didn't come. Her mum has never actually come to her for the opinion about her boyfriend as well. She's never really cared. She's never gone to her kids and asked if her kids actually like this new man. And it's come to a point where she doesn't know what to do. She's seeking for help, and she sometimes feel like, I want to leave. Obviously, being in an African household and as a young woman, if now you're not married, you haven't been proposed to, you need to remain in your house. You can't just leave. And on many occasions, she wants to run away. On many occasions, she's just felt so depressed. She cries, she wishes her sisters back. And this is basically what's been happening in her life. Aside from that, she's also had a lot of anger issues because of that past and because of that history. She doesn't know like how to contain her anger. She's gone to school, yes, but she hasn't gone to the position where she's gone to college. She hasn't aspired to go to university, and she's just seeking help. She's working at the moment, thankfully, but she needs help. So that's where I've come to explain her story a little bit and explain to those who are actually in a similar predicament as her, to know that, look, you're not on your own. There are others facing that same issue like you. You're not on your own. In continuing with a bit about her history, she's also found out things about her family members and the fakery in her household. So not just with her mum and the issues she's going with her mum, but with her cousins, with her aunties, with her uncles, with her grandparents. And she's seen that she can't even go to them because there's a lot of collision. And because she is a very strong character and a very strong person, she's quite strong-minded about her beliefs. She just doesn't feel that she has anywhere to go. And another thing is, we are also going to church. Thankfully, she's actually opened up to a man of God and her pastor about her situations, what she's been facing. But another thing she's also been facing, aside from the issues at home, is the fights at church. This is something that we cannot avoid. No church is perfect, but this actually has happened, where she doesn't feel like she can go to anyone, not even in her church or amongst her friends. Thankfully, she has opened up to me, but at the same time, I would love to be a help to her. But at the same time, I'm putting out this story to you so that you know, and if you're in that same predicament, you can relate. And that's the story. So, in my opinion, there's a lot of things to address. I didn't go to the root cause because not everything has to be explained. I must also protect her. But, one, I can understand her frustration. I can understand the fact that she doesn't know who to talk to, who to turn around to, what to do in so many predicaments. She's gone to so many authorities in the sense of her uncles, her family members, in order to help her with her position. She's also trying to seek a path, and she's trying to understand, how can I first of all find a common ground with my mum in understanding that I need help, and trying to make her mum understand that, Mum, please respect me, respect my sibling, because we don't know this man. We don't know if he's coming to hurt you. We don't know if we're protected or if we're safe. You just brought a man to the house. How do we know that he's good for us? How do we know that he will be a good father for us as well? Knowing that, if you're going to bring a man to the house, it's not just yourself, especially if you're a mum, it's not just yourself you're bringing the man to, it's your children you're exposing them to. And it's something that you need to be careful of. So she's obviously opened up to me about these things. Now, in my response to that is, one, a lot of people will come in this life and deceive you. A lot of people will come in this life and call you names. Yes, life isn't easy. You've lost somebody you've loved. You didn't, and especially obviously she opened up to me at the funeral. You know, people that she expected to support her didn't support her. People that she expected to turn up at the funeral, that she expected to contribute to the funeral, that she expected to be there, didn't do that. Many people deceived her and walked out of her life, especially in those dark moments where she was losing somebody so dear to her. Now, I felt sorry for her, and I still do now. And I just feel like, you know, have a big heart. We're living a short time, and our time on this earth is very short. Your sister got taken away, and I'm very sure that's a big lesson to you. And that's something so painful. It's not easy to lose somebody who was not only just your sister, your best friend, and your mum in one. And to be somebody where you can turn around to when you are going through your weaknesses and you're crying, she was there. And to see that nobody's now there for you, and there's nobody that really can replace that spot. But just understand that God has a way to provide for you, and you are going to have somebody else there who will help you and who will give you counsel, advice, and better is yet to come. In the stance where you're with your mum and you're fighting all the time and you're quarreling and you're like, my mum doesn't understand me, trust me, stay there, don't leave the house, keep enduring, keep fighting, because tomorrow your mum will understand and she will see, okay, look, I've been bad and I've done things which weren't right. I'm telling you now, you are basically the example in your house. You are basically your mum and your dad in that house. And why do I say this? Because you are the one that's going to open up their eyes to a lot of things, make them understand. Some people don't understand yet, and it's because of your prayers. It's because of your time with your time with God, your time seeking God. Because obviously, you've gone to a man of God, you've spoken to a man of God. That's what's helping you. Obviously, it's called collision because you've opened up to the man of God and you've told him, my mum's doing this, and it's difficult, but you're the one that's gonna help. You're the one that's gonna do it, and we just have to endure. We sometimes look at our circumstances and we're like, rah, like, you know, what is this? Why am I living this life? What's the point? Why am I in this family? But it's all a strengthening curve. So my advice to you is just be strengthened, be encouraged, don't fall back. Don't feel like you're alone, because you're not alone, because there's many of us who are going through this same predicament. You walk home, your mum's insulting you. You walk home, you know, you're not getting the support you need. You're looking at your studies ain't going forward. You're looking at all these different areas of your life. You're thinking to yourself, why isn't nothing working for me? Why can't I be happy? Why can't I move forward? Trust me, it's not the end of the world. In regards to, obviously I haven't gone into what I really want to say. In regards to church members and being in the midst of people where you feel like there's a lot of fakery, I always say this: church is a hospital. Church is a hospital. Nobody in there is perfect. People are still under medication. So when you see that people are reacting to you in a way you're not expecting, understand that there's something in you that they don't have. Understand that you're special, and understand that not everyone will understand the gifts you have, your strong personality, where you've come from, and it's not everything that they need to know. Just keep your head up high. Keep going to your man of God and keep talking to him, because I'm very sure he's gone through things that you have gone through too. I'm very sure he's faced a lot of rejection too. So your mom obviously came to you. That's another thing I've realized. When parents have their business exposed or explained to somebody in the church or a pastor, and especially coming from a Congolese community, it is something that I've realized that a lot of people feel that they don't want a pastor or a man of God to know or to intervene. And I feel like that position has been misunderstood, and I can't blame people, because one, there are also some men of God who have put that in place in the community, and other men of God who are genuine. But understand that if you know you're under a genuine person and you're under somebody that has the wisdom, that's gone through this, has counseled it, why not? Go to that person, ask for help. Because what you're doing is that you're not only just asking help from God, but you're incorporating somebody there as well physically that will be of help. So your mum did get angry, which is understandable, but that's her not understanding that you need help. And hopefully through her seeing that you had to go out and seek help because you couldn't do that, because you can't go to her, because she feels like you're not listening, that should educate her tomorrow. Yeah.
You did good. I'll stop it.